first Tzu Chi Medical Forum, medical professionals share medical researches. Tzu Chi volunteers assess damage and give out emergency cash in the aftermath of a mudslide in Taitung. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. In Taiwan, the first Tzu Chi Medical Forum was held on October 14th and 15th. At the occasion, medical professionals from 6 Tzu Chi hospitals shared their medical researches and experiences. In addition, the Minister of Health and Welfare was also invited to give a talk about future medical policies. Let's join them there. On the first day of Tzu Chi Medical Forum, there are seminars and discussion of posters. The medical professionals are able to showcase decades of Tzu Chi's medical research.
大家互相观摩彼此所做的研究的内容。
As we learn from each other's research results, we can form a research team. At the same time, we can let the medical students and residents know that their teachers are doing and find a research topic. I think this is important in raising the medical standard of Tzu Chi hospitals and Tzu Chi University.
On the second day of Tzu Chi Medical Forum, besides seminars for the public, the organizer also invited Minister of Health and Welfare to give a speech.
重度急救医院的责任。
We will give Tzu Chi Hospital the responsibility of caring for the severely injured. We need to figure out how to work together with Tzu Chi Hospital, Mennonite Christian Hospital, and other hospitals so we can have the best results in the mountainous or remote regions.
At the first Tzu Chi Medical Forum, which is mainly organized by Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital, medical professionals from 6 Tzu Chi hospitals, along with the Minister of Health and Welfare, share their researches and detailed medical reports.
There is no distance between us, as we are just like brothers and sisters. Many people hope we grow and learn together.
The medical seminars that are open to the public is very popular, as it provides professional knowledge in a practical way.
The 2 doctors explained in simple words so that people with little medical background can also understand the ideas.
As Taiwan's medical researchers become world-renowned, Tzu Chi's medical mission faces the challenge of providing even better medical services. Many people hope medical advancement can be seen at the Tzu Chi Medical Forum every year. In the Philippines, 3-year-old Martin suffered from ventricular septal defect. It can cause difficulty in breathing and also loss of consciousness. The person with this illness needs a surgery or to affect his growth. Martin's parents were always afraid their son would suddenly pass away, but their family was too poor to afford the surgery, and the government could not provide enough support either. When Tzu Chi volunteers learned about the boy's situation, they raised funds from their relatives and friends for Martin to undergo the surgery.
3-year-old Martin is not as active as other children. The reason is that he suffers from ventricular septal defect, an inborn cardio illness. Sometimes Martin will suddenly lose consciousness, and it worries his parents.
He doesn't have appetite. When he cries, his body will turn dark. Even when he walks, he can't breathe smoothly.
Martin's father is a truck driver, so the family is too poor to afford a surgery. Then Tzu Chi volunteers begin calling for help and are able to find 8 people who are able to come up with enough money for the surgery.
We volunteers came together to help this family and also the mother. I want him to have the surgery as quickly as possible because it isn't good for the patients if it is delayed.
I found a very good friend and also my younger sister. I said to help this family. I called many people to help because if we could help, we'd become very happy.
If we don't go out to eat any feast or buy clothes, we can save money and use it to save the boy's life.
After the surgery, the volunteers continue visiting and helping this family. They hope Martin will regain health and explore the world like other children do.
Most people think that cataract is the eye disease that only happens among elderly people. But in Nueva Ecija province of the Philippines, a newborn baby was diagnosed with cataracts in both eyes. After her mother brought her to seek medical help at a clinic, she was later referred to Tzu Chi Eye Center in Manila. There, the doctor not only proposed treatment plans for her, but also subsidized her medical expenses.
Holding her 18-day-old newborn baby in her arms to seek medical help at the Tzu Chi Eye Center, Julie Ann Sedilan looks anxious because her child has cataracts in both eyes.
2 days after Janelle was discharged from the hospital, her brother found out that the colors of her eyes is not the same as ordinary people. We brought her to a clinic in the countryside, and the doctor told us that she has cataracts and needs to receive treatment in a hospital.
Since Janelle is still too young, the doctor only gave her preliminary treatments after a checkup. However, the volunteers not only continue to care for her situation, but they also check to see whether her family is able to pay the medical expenses for her surgery.
We sold a plot of land for $2,210 US, but the doctor said that an eye surgery at a private hospital costs $1,105 US per eye, and there are also other needed expenses. So the $2,210 US we have may not be enough for both eyes.
We're thankful for Tzu Chi Foundation. I thank Dr. Mekarak for introducing us to seek medical assistance at Tzu Chi. This is a great help to us.
After Janelle was a bit older, Tzu Chi Eye Center conducted further treatments for her. The doctor indicated Janelle has to wait until she turns 5 or 6 years before her vision can be completely restored.
Janelle is much better than before as she's more active now. And every time she wears these pairs of glasses for vision correction, she's able to track moving objects with her eyes.
Seeing that Janelle's vision has improved, Tzu Chi volunteers are relieved and hope she can grow up healthy and strong with the love and care of the volunteers and her family.
In Jordan, starting from May this year, UNHCR will no longer give supply coupons to refugee families living outside the refugee camps. Such change meant more difficulties for these refugees. The 50-some refugee families whom Tzu Chi volunteers in Jordan are helping are also affected by the new policy. Fortunately, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to give them financial support and supplies. Although these families don't live well, they're still willing to donate what they can to help other people.
8-year-old Abdel Hadi is raising money with a coin bank during the monthly Tzu Chi's relief distribution for Syrian refugees in Jordan. This is his biggest wish after he underwent a surgery with Tzu Chi's help.
Do you like to donation this money to the USA? The people suffering in the flood. There are no paper, no insurance.
Through the translation, Hadi's answer is
yes.
These Syrian refugees live hard lives, but they are willing to give love too.
On February, April, June, I went to Taiwan. I saw our Taiwan people, our members. They are so compassionate, generous to support the Syrian family. So,
What Brother Chen said inspires these Syrian refugees.
On behalf of all Syrians, I want to thank Tzu Chi's assistance to us.
Tzu Chi volunteers told us to smile and to help others. And during this time, we learned how to love.
The UNHCR stopped giving some assistance to refugees in May, but Tzu Chi will continue its assistance to these refugees.
In In Taiwan, Typhoon Kanun caused heavy rain and mudslide in Taitung County, damaging a hotel in Zhiben as well as residences. Fortunately, the residents had evacuated ahead of time, and therefore no one was injured. In the aftermath of the disaster, Tzu Chi volunteers conducted disaster assessment as well as going to a shelter to comfort the affected residents.
When I heard the rocks behind my home roaring very loudly, I went to the living room to get my cell phone and a pair of glasses. Then I saw water coming every second. In 4 to 5 seconds, it came up here.
She is still in fear while recalling the incident. Days of storm caused mudslides in Zhengde village, Taitung County, and destroyed 2 homes. Half of the houses are still buried in the mud and rocks.
I was scared to death. Whenever I recall it, my heart will ache.
After the storms have stopped, Tzu Chi volunteers walk along muddy roads and give emergency cash and relief goods to the typhoon victims, and they are deeply touched.
I've never seen anything like it, never seen any water so huge. The Soil and Water Conservation Bureau has visited us and promised they'll dig gutters.
In the first stage, we will clear away the mud and the waterway. Then we will draft an emergency engineering project to complete the task.
In the aftermath of the disaster, Tzu Chi volunteers are giving affected residents timely assistance to help them overcome their current problems.
Trees are the patron saint of the mountains, protecting soil and water resources. However, when they become driftwood, they threaten reservoir, bridges, and ports. Predicting the path of driftwood is quite difficult, as we explore this issue in our upcoming series of reports.
Riding on this raft, we go deep into this reservoir's upstream area, where we find the whole hillside has collapsed. Slowly, we see that this mountain's original woodland has disappeared. On this lake, we see lots of driftwood drying in the sun. With the rainy season in June, a large amount of driftwood entered this reservoir. After half a month, the situation did not improve.
Because of heavy rain, this entire forest collapsed, leading dirt, sand, and wood to flood into the reservoir.
In the reservoir catchment area near the mountain, we often see these types of collapses leading to lots of driftwood. Driftwood is scattered on the lake, which is hard to clean, so staff undertake special actions to contain it and limit the flow of driftwood for convenient follow-up processing. Strong typhoons lead to lots of driftwood, which can become a burden for the Water Resources Office. Soil and water flooded this power plant, cutting off communication with the outside world as this reservoir soon became filled with driftwood. Before Typhoon Morakot, the Changwon Reservoir upstream catchment area saw 250 hectares of forest collapse. After the typhoon, the total amount of forest area affected increased by 6 times to 1,467 hectares. These fallen trees once were integral to soil conservation, but now they are a danger to reservoirs.
After Typhoon Morakot, the reservoir didn't even have an area for water intake, as it was totally blocked by soil, sand, and driftwood. It seriously affected the safety and security of this reservoir.
Driftwood wasn't just a threat to the Changwon Reservoir in the south, but also the Ximen Reservoir in the north, which couldn't escape the same fate. More than 70,000 tons of driftwood floated into the Ximen Reservoir, affecting water quality and potentially leading to greater harm.
This driftwood, which is soaked in water after a long time, begins to sink and can cause damage as it enters the power plant, striking the turbines and breaking them.
Driftwood can cause heavy damage to dams and power plants. Taoyuan residents learned that the water supply suspension of 18 days was caused by driftwood in the reservoir.
This salvage work began from 2007 to 2017 and has been going on for 10 years before being finally restored to its original shape.
Ximen Reservoir's driftwood problem has yet to be completed, and Typhoon Maggie brought even more problems. Similar to Typhoon Aire, though this time Ximen Reservoir took extra precautions.
We set up a cable to catch this driftwood, which has been helpful. Since 2007, we have deployed this for every typhoon to catch driftwood, and it has been effective.
95% of driftwood will be intercepted this way. After blocking it here within 2 weeks, we contain it and send it to Amoping gravel plant, and then it is sent to the coast.
Taking precautions is better than follow-up work. More importantly, driftwood during times of heavy rain is simply too much for people to collect. Fishing port is cluttered with driftwood, preventing boats from operating. Spending a month to clear this harbor, few could believe that just 10 months later, this fishing port would experience the same situation. Driftwood forms a type of floating blockade that has occupied the harbor, leaving fishermen with few options. Regardless of ports, rivers, farmland, or bridges, driftwood has ended up everywhere. Driftwood from upstream has traveled down, has even hit this pier in Miaoli's Taitung Township, whose Elephant Nose Bridge has been deluged by lots of driftwood, which is posing a safety threat.
Driftwood has influenced the flow of rivers, as we deploy subcontractors to take appropriate action.
From upstream to downstream, the flow of driftwood can reach hundreds of kilometers, as there is a need for cross-government units to deal with this issue.
Driftwood begins with being the responsibility of the Forestry Bureau, and then when it goes into the river, it becomes an issue related to soil and water conservation. And when it enters densely populated plant areas, it becomes the jurisdiction of Water Resources Office.
Driftwood can cause multiple problems, but they are still nonetheless considered government property, meaning that the public is prohibited from collecting driftwood or they will be subject to prosecution.
In our continuing series of successful bone marrow stem cell matching cases, today we meet 32-year-old Liu Jiayuan. He was diagnosed with acute leukemia when he was a graduate student 8 years ago, leading him to suspend his schooling to receive medical treatment. In the meantime, his grandmother was also hospitalized due to an illness. Since his parents had to look after his grandmother and him, Liu felt very sorry for them. Thankfully, Liu was able to fight against his illness after he underwent the stem cell transplant. Now he has fulfilled his wish of running his own coffee shop.
Sometimes I may suffer from nosebleed when I walk, so I can only walk up a floor of stairs, and then I may experience asthma as if I have to run 100 meters.
When Liu Jiayuan was a graduate student, he was diagnosed with acute leukemia. This is an illness that blood cancer cells may grow rapidly in one's body and later affects the normal hematopoietic function. During chemotherapy, Liu not only had to endure the torment of side effects, but he also felt for his parents.
At that time, my grandma also suffered from pancreatic cancer, and we received treatment at the same hospital. My parents had to look after me and my grandma in the meantime.
When I looked after him in the emergency room, I was afraid of losing him. Thankfully, the doctor saved his life.
While this family was in despair, the appearance of the stem cell donor gave them hope.
My second chance at life started from here. At that time, the stem cells were instilled into here.
Living 200 kilometers away from Mr. Liu is Chen Yunshou, who always wears a smile. When she studied at a technical college, her sister invited her to sign up for Tzu Chi's blood test. About 14 years later, someone called her for help.
Back then, I was wondering when a volunteer had my phone number because I was still a student when I signed up for the blood test. I thought someone defrauded me. At that time, I was married and was planning to have children. Some people worried that my children might experience side effects if I decided to donate my stem cells. But later, I felt relieved after Tzu Chi sisters explained to me in details.
Donating stem cells won't affect one's health, as this can be proved in Chen Yunshou. Now she has a cute daughter. After Mr. Liu went through stem cell transplant, he has regained health and become a coffee expert. This fancy coffee shop is named Reborn, which portrays the story of the Liu family.
Thank her for giving me a new look family. Without her help, I don't know what my family will look like.
The donor gives me a second chance at life. If there is any chance, I'd like to thank her with my sincerity.
Since I'm able to give him a new life, and I myself can reproduce stem cells, I think it is fine. The only thing I hope to see is that he can live a healthy life.
In recent years, people are paying more attention to reducing food waste. In Wanhua, Taipei, a borough head has established a food bank, collecting extra food from companies and families and giving it to underprivileged families. In addition, some restaurants are turning imperfect fruits and vegetables into delicious dishes, as well as educating the public about cherishing food.
At this food bank in Wanhua, rice, canned food, soy sauce, milk powder, and other supplies are available. This food comes from companies that provide newly expired food to families in need.
They've given us great help as we can now cut down on our family expenses.
I am a solitary senior and I was given booklet. This is a grateful bank, which gives you 5 points each month for you to come exchange for food.
Underprivileged families can apply and later get food or daily supplies with their points. The establishment of Food Bank has helped spread the idea of cherishing food, and in recent years, many young people have joined.
Whether they are learning to serve or interning, more students have come from their hometown or schools to learn from the food bank. They can bring the idea back to their school or community.
Cherishing food and cutting down on waste have also become a popular idea among restaurants. This stewed pomelo and taro was made with ugly fruits and vegetables. After processing by a chef, it tastes delicious and has become a popular item at the restaurant.
We need to spend an extra 50% of time to process this food. While a lot of people, such as housewives, might think this food is not okay at our restaurant, we are promoting the idea this food is okay and can be made into a healthy dish.
In fact, many of this imperfect food, whether it's made into compost or given to friends and families of farmers, they are just as delicious, though sometimes they are not well utilized.
This restaurant promotes cherishing food and is taking actions to support farmers and teaching the public to cut down on food waste.
In Chile, Tzu Chi Liaison Office in Santiago recently joined hands with the Environmental Protection Bureau of Peñalolén to organize a hiking event. At the occasion, the participants get to be in touch with nature as well as learn about environmental protection. We'll leave you with these images at the end of our program. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.